So read, stuck on the block, read, sitting in the box, read.
Yo, what's going on, people? This is Akala. This week's great read, I would presume some of you being hip-hop lovers must have read. But I mean, there's nothing else to say other than this is probably the definitive history of hip-hop. And unlike most histories of hip-hop when you watch it on TV, it doesn't begin the story in America, because that's not where the story begins. The story begins in America, but also in the Caribbean. I mean, one could even argue the story begins in Africa, but that's given a much larger historical context than maybe is needed than a modern history of hip-hop. But he looks at West Kingston, he looks at Cool DJ Herc, he looks at all of the relationships between the repression of black people in the Americas, in the Caribbean, and in New York, and how out of those different cultural melting pots, those different African diasporic forms, came hip-hop. A lot of people love hip-hop. They want to divorce hip-hop from its racialized historical context. They want to divorce hip-hop from its roots in the hood. They want to try and tell people from the ghetto what is and isn't real hip-hop. Apparently real hip-hop is only conscious hip-hop. I don't want anyone to ever think that I think that. No, it's not. So-called road hip-hop has its place. What I have an issue with is an industry that gives preeminence to materialistic, misogynistic, violent music. Those musics have their place, just like those things have their place in film, because those things exist. That's reality. But should 90% of the hip-hop music in the mainstream media be like that? No. 90% of man in the hood ain't like that. 90% of what goes on in the hood ain't like that. So, therefore, the music should reflect that. And one thing this book does detail, which you should know, is when hip-hop was independently, more communally owned and controlled by the communities that created it, hip-hop had more of that rounded flavor, gave more of a picture of what a neighborhood like the South Bronx, where hip-hop originates, or West Kingston, might be like. But without question, this is the definitive history of hip-hop at this point. Can't Stop, Won't Stop by Jeff Chang is this week's great read. Big up.
So read, stuck on the block, read, sitting in the box, read.